All right, today we are diving into the absolutely unbelievable, almost nonsensical story behind one of the internet's most legendary images. Seriously, it's a journey that kicks off with a simple photo of a dog and then just spirals into this global phenomenon involving cryptocurrency, Olympic athletes, and millions of dollars.
So you gotta wonder, right? How did this photo, just a casual snapshot of a Shiba Inu with a funny look on her face, somehow become one of the most powerful and influential images of our time?
Like, how on earth did its legacy help send the Jamaican bobsled team to the Winter Olympics? Yeah, you heard that right, the bobsled team.
And then, how was this exact same image treated like some masterpiece of modern art, getting auctioned off for a mind-blowing $4 million?
And maybe the weirdest part of all? How did it manage to briefly take over the iconic bird logo on one of the planet's biggest social media sites? Let's break this whole wild story down. To really get how we got here, we have to go back to the very beginning. Our story doesn't start with tech billionaires or crypto masterminds. Nope. It starts with a kindergarten teacher in Japan and the sweet rescue dog who would become an internet legend, Kabusu. You know, the craziest thing is how all the pieces just fell into place by complete accident. First, way back in 2005, the intentionally misspelled word Doge shows up in a popular web cartoon called Homestar Runner. Then, years later, in 2008, a teacher named Atsuko Sato adopts a Shiba Inu Kabosu. And then, in 2010, she just posts a few random photos of Kabosu on her blog, and the internet took it from there.
And this is what it became, the classic Doge meme. You've seen it a million times. Kabusu's face, with that priceless expression, surrounded by all that colorful Comic Sans text. It was her supposed inner thoughts, right? Phrases like "so scare," "much wow," and "such awake" just became its signature style. It captured this kind of wholesome, silly humor that was just impossible not to love.
For a few years, that's all Doge was. A really funny picture that made people smile online. But then, in the absolute Wild West of early cryptocurrency, the Doge meme was about to take a very strange turn.
So get this, in December of 2013, two software engineers, Billy Marcus and Jackson Palmer, created Dogecoin purely as a joke. It was meant to make fun of Bitcoin and how super serious the whole crypto scene was. As Marcus himself said, he spent most of his time just making sure the font was Comic Sans, the official font of the meme. That's so much of a gag this was meant to be. And the sheer absurdity of what happened next is perfectly captured right here. In 2015, the co-creator, Billy Marcus, cashed out all of his Dogecoin, and he bought a used Honda Civic. A perfectly sensible purchase, right? Well, if he had held on to that exact same amount, it would eventually have been worth enough to buy an entire army of Lamborghinis. It's just insane.
So how does a joke currency just explode in value like that? Well, it wasn't random. It was fueled by this perfect storm of internet culture, a ton of social media hype, and some very high-profile people jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah, the hype train was completely unstoppable. You had Elon Musk famously crowning himself the Doge father. Mark Cuban started letting people buy Dallas Mavericks tickets with Dogecoin. Snoop Dogg, Gene Simmons, the list just goes on. And all the while, you had these massive communities on Reddit and TikTok just chanting for the coin's price to go to the moon. The absolute peak of all this craziness probably came in June of 2021. The original photo, the one Atsuko Sato just put up on her blog, was sold as an NFT, a non-fungible token, basically a digital certificate of ownership. The final price? A record-shattering $4 million. A simple photo of a dog on a couch had officially become a multi-million-dollar piece of digital art.
And the big moments just kept coming. In April 2023, Elon Musk, who by then owned Twitter, just swapped out the platform's famous blue bird logo and put Kabusu's face there instead. It lasted for about a week, and in that time, the value of Dogecoin jumped by more than 20%.
But here's the thing. Beyond all the memes and the wild market speculation, the community that actually formed around this joke currency started using its power for some pretty amazing things.
You have to hear this story. Back in 2014, the Jamaican bobsled team qualified for the Sochi Olympics, but didn't have the money to actually get there. It was a total real-life cool runnings situation. So, inspired by the movie, the Dogecoin community just rallied together. They launched a fundraiser called Doge Sled, and in just a few hours, raised over $30,000. And just like that, an internet dog meme sent a bobsled team to the Olympics. You just can't make this stuff up.
Through all these years, through all the chaos, the internet's love for the actual dog, Kabosu, never faded. And eventually, all that digital fame started to turn into physical, permanent honors in her own hometown.
For her 17th birthday, fans from all over the world raised enough money to commission a bronze statue. It was unveiled in November 2023 in a park in Sakura, Japan, immortalizing Kabosu in her iconic pose on her couch, a forever part of the city she called home.
And the honors didn't even stop there. The city of Sakura itself recognized its most famous furry resident by creating a custom manhole cover featuring Kabosu's face. She literally became a part of the town's infrastructure.
In May of 2024, after a long and incredible life, Kabosu passed away. Her owner, Atsuku Sato, the person who started this entire global journey with a single blog post, summed it all up perfectly. She said, "I think Kabo-chan was the happiest dog in the world, and I was the happiest owner."
What a journey. I mean, nobody could have predicted any of this. From a rescue shelter to a global icon, a cryptocurrency, an Olympic sponsor, and a permanent statue. It really makes you wonder, in this weird digital age we're all living in, what does Kabosu's story really tell us about where we find value, how we build community, and the surprising ways that a simple photo can bring the world just a little bit closer together?